I'm James Bass. I'm the artist of these pieces we see in the gallery today. This is a piece called Tokyo. The original image I found online and then modified it to make it look kind of like a photographic overlay. It's very detailed, it's very time consuming, but I think it's certainly one of the more complex pieces and one that people respond to. Something that does catch your eye, and there's a lot of detail which interests me, and movement and chaos, which is really what I was aiming at. This is pastel on sandpaper, which is what most of these pieces are. This simply is called Three Sisters. It's taken from a still from a film that I found in Art4 magazine. The original frame was much, much bigger. This is pure pastel on paper, and I need to clean that off. In good light, the white comes out, and of course it's painful for me to look at this because thank heavens there's glass here, because I'd want to repair some things, but this was difficult. I wore the paper off, but it's moody and mysterious, which is really what I'm aiming at. This is an experiment. It's called White Sun. I found the image online and then modified it, and it has no real subject. I was asked, is this a particular place? Well, no. It's a place in the art, but it's not mimetic. It doesn't try to imitate or be transparent to a place's specific. Again, this is sandpaper with pastel and maybe a bit of acrylic to accentuate the black. One of my favorite pieces, and one of my earliest pieces, after spending time copying artists to gain some facility with drawing, I found this. This is from Millet's Ophelia, which is a Victorian painting depicting Ophelia from Shakespeare's, that's the name of the play? Hamlet, and she's drowning, and it's a dark piece. The original piece is larger, and of course in color, and full of accurate botanical detail. In the original piece, her face is about half the size, and I essentially blew it up and did it in graphite and charcoal on newsprint. And again, there's a darkness there. This is an experiment in color. It's called Red Study Number 1. Again, taken from a film, extracted it from a film frame, and was working on trying to be not quite so specific and accentuating the red and trying to capture the ecstatic mood that the subject's in. Again, on sandpaper, pastel, with some acrylic to deepen the black. This is based on a photograph sent to me by a friend who makes frequent visits to Colombia. It's simply called Colombian Sunset. I have a group of friends who travel and understand the images that I'm interested in, and they send me photographs that might be used as subjects for pastels. I like this because of the shape of the black foreground and the configuration of the clouds. It makes it a kind of unusual sunset, and there's certain drama coming up in here. So it's kind of Victorian in a way. Also, I have to admit a fortuitous mistake or accident regarding this one. I did this a year ago and put it away, being kind of dissatisfied with it, and only covered it with a piece of glycine. And when I retrieved this recently, I noticed stains at the bottom These are cat urine stains that fortuitously work with the picture. As a matter of fact, I think it makes the picture better because it adds interest in the foreground and looks a little bit suggestive of water. So that makes it truly mixed media. This is pastel on sandpaper and the element I just mentioned. This piece is called Dorset Sunset. Is taken from the end of a dock that my lake cottage that my family owns in northern Minnesota. It's called Bottle Lake, and this sunset I took one night. It's the biggest, maybe the largest piece I've done. There's a dock here, and in this light there's much more yellow, I notice, than when I was working on it at my house. But there's a certain drama there, and there's no red. It's black, yellow, green. From this one, this is actually me. This is taken by my former wife in Minnesota, only a few miles away from where the previous setting is present. This is a very personal picture for me, and I was surprised that it appeals to other people. Originally, I was looking at bluegills swimming here. I'm in the water up to my upper thighs, and people recognize me even though my face is not evident in the picture. Again, this is sandpaper and black acrylic and pastel. This piece is kind of a companion piece to the masks that we'll look at in a minute. It's from a photograph. It's one of the pieces that has completely unchanged from the photograph itself. If you see the viewpoint, it's looking down on a sculpture, or I think it's a plaster cast actually. And the challenge was getting the light right in the details, and I was learning how to do this when I made this piece. So I was focusing on details and resolution. Again, it's on sandpaper, but I don't think I used any acrylic to accentuate the whites. This piece, obviously simply called Cadaver. It is in fact what it looks like. It's a partially dissected cadaver based on a photograph that a good friend of mine in the Department of Orthopedics at the university sent me among other photographs that she'd found when she was cleaning out a file or something like that. The subject is grotesque. There may be a bit of beauty in it, but this was a learning piece for me because it was another image that's bright white chalk against a deep black background. And even though it might be off-putting, there's drama in that. And again, I'm working towards radiating an effect. And if one does recoil from it, well, then I consider it a successful piece. This is another learning piece, simply called Dress Behind Glass. There's a companion piece to it, which is not in the show. Again, I thank Artforum magazine for finding this image. It was from a show in Paris of fashion, and this was the studio that the dress was displayed in, with sculpture in the background. So it does look like it is in a studio. I was trying to get a glass effect. Again, this was a piece that I did a few years ago, and I'm not sure if it succeeds completely, but I like the verticality, and color is coming in. This piece is called COVID Angel #2. It's the second in a series of 3 black and white images that I made during the pandemic. This is based on a statue, and again, it's a learning piece in that I was trying to get as much resolution as I could in the feathers. Trying to experiment as to how realistic I could draw, what kind of facility I could develop. And in the sculpture, there's a strong expression, and it emerges from a dark background. And it's a piece that I think that rewards being looked at closely. So this is the third image from the COVID series. This is COVID Angel number 3. Again, I've tried to distill the image down to its simplest form and shade against a black background. This background is acrylic, and it's acrylic that I have to get from England or Japan. It's supposedly the darkest, or the blackest acrylic that can be had commercially. The subject here is a dancer, actually he's the lead dancer from a Japanese avant-garde dance troupe called Sankai Juku. And I found this piece in the New York Times. There was color in it and other things that I subtracted because I was trying to go for an image that was stark and that stood out dramatically against the black. This piece is called Hanging Carcass, and I found the image on a meat inspector's instructional website. What struck me is certainly the colors, the blending of the reds and the creams, and then fitting into a long tradition of painters who have painted pieces of meat or hanging carcasses. I could think specifically of Rembrandt's famous piece that's variously called Hanging Carcass or a Slaughtered Ox or something like that. This piece isn't as dramatic as his, but it's in that same tradition. And again, it's a piece where I was experimenting with how specific I could get with my lines and colors. And certainly the subject matter is not something that will appeal to everyone, but I don't think about that. I think about the form and the color and the way the form lays against the black background. This again was done on sandpaper. Okay. This piece is entitled Eugene, and here I think the subject is significant. This man is Eugene Bullard, who was the first African-American to fly an airplane, fighter airplane for the French Air Force in World War I. An extraordinary man who lived an extraordinary life, who managed the constrictive situation of his existence in this world in magnificent ways, full of admiration. I found this image on Wikipedia. It's part of a full-length portrait, and I tried to capture a kind of wry knowingness in his expression, as if he was seeing over the top of things, which I think he did in life. Whether that accomplished that, I'm not sure. But here's to Eugene. This is Red Study number 2. Again, I was trying to introduce color into my work. This is from an image, again, from Art Forum magazine. This is not fabric, but actually bent metal. And against a dark sandpaper background. And again, I was experimenting with some color on that one. This series is called the Mask series, and there's 5 pieces. This installation is the first time that I've seen them in a configuration that I envisioned, and they work singly, and I hope that they work as a unit too. They are images of death masks that I found online. What appealed to me was not the subject necessarily, or the identity of the subject, but simply the expression and a certain quality that struck me in the image. The point is to feel the presence of these people, even though they're casts made after the person's passed. Again, I concentrated on detail, and especially in the effect of bright white stepping forth out of a black background. These are all pastel or white chalk against either black paper, black acrylic painted paper, or sandpaper. And if you want the identity of these people, you can ask me.